Hi, good evening all. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Okay.
good evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can hear.
We are going to see the fourth chapter. I think it is the fourth chapter of our Theories of Counseling and Practice, Psychotherapy Part 1. Unable to listen as I'm in another con call. Okay, no problem, sir. We are just going to see a brief discussion about what is REBT today. Before that, how this cognitive therapy has started, how it has the history of cognitive therapy, how it has developed, those basic histories and these things are to be covered. Shall we wait for some more time or we'll start now itself? Because I said
Already
9:30.
9:22, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we can go.
okay, okay. See, generally, we are going to start with psychotherapy. Generally, what is psychotherapy? It is nothing but the counseling we do or the talk therapy we are going to give to a client. So, that is called as psychotherapy. Any form of treatment for a psychological or an emotional or a behavior disorders in a form of talk therapy is called psychotherapy. And the psychotherapy is given by trained professionals like the counseling psychologist or the rehabilitation psychologist or the clinical psychologist who does this talk therapy, or the trained professionals will give this psychotherapy. The purpose of the psychotherapy is to modify the existing problem what the client or the patient is having right now, and to promote the general and personality based wellness for the patient. So this is what the small introduction about psychotherapy. And what are the different techniques of psychotherapy is there are so many different techniques available. We are going to concentrate more on four major forms, that is cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, interpersonal therapy, humanistic or experiential therapy. But in our book, we are not dealing about interpersonal therapy or humanistic experiential therapy. They have given for CBT and DBT, and also little about interpersonal therapies. So these are all the techniques under psychotherapy. Apart from that, we have psychodynamic approach, psychoanalysis, supportive therapies, additional therapies apart from psychotherapies like play therapy is there, animal combined animal assisted therapies are there, creative therapies are there. All these things we will learn in counseling for children, the last chapters. Those are therapies, additional therapies apart from psychotherapy. Right now we are going to talk about the different techniques of psychotherapy. First is CBT, that is cognitive based therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. It is nothing but changing the way how we think, because we all know that how we think, that is what our behavior will be, that is how the personality will be. So changing the behavior patterns, changing the thinking patterns, that leads to a difference in the existing problem. So how we are going to change the person's aspect of thinking and perceiving right now will alter the problem what they are facing right now. This will be mainly used in depressions, anxiety, or any PTSD problems. I'm just giving a very brief differences about CBT. What is CBT? What is the DBT? And other interpersonal therapies, those things. Small two lines. So CBT is nothing but we are changing the way a person is thinking, or the changing the behavior right now person is having, so that the maladaptive thinking or the behavior will be modified. Or yeah, I'll do Aarti. அது வந்து கொஞ்சம் okay. Aarti, I'll do that. So we are changing the behavior and modifying the existing problem so that we are enhancing a new behavior. So ஒரு behavior மாத்துறது மூலமா இப்ப இருக்கிற present complaints என்னன்றத மாத்தி அவங்களுடைய present complaints குறைக்கிறதுக்கோ இல்லைன்னா அதை வந்து கம்மிப்படுத்திட்டு வேற நல்ல இன்ஃபர்மேட்டிவ் இமோஷன்ஸ், நல்ல ஒரு வாட் டு சே, ஹவு டு சே இன் தமிழ், ஒரு நல்ல பழக்க வழக்கங்களை மாத்திக்கிறதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ற தெரப்பி தான் வந்து காக்னிட்டிவ் பிஹேவியரல் தெரப்பி. அண்ட் நெக்ஸ்ட் இஸ் இன்டர்பர்சனல் தெரப்பி. இது வந்து ஒரு ஷார்ட் ஃபார்ம் ஆஃப் ட்ரீட்மெண்ட். இன் இன்டர்பர்சனல் தெரப்பி, நேம் இட் செல்ஃப் சஜஸ்ட் தட் we got two persons, the problem between two persons will be dealt in that interpersonal therapy. Examples like any problem between spouses or any other problem in the families can be dealt through interpersonal therapy. And any unsolved grief இருந்தா, இல்ல ஒரு கான்ஃபிளிக் பிட்வீன் டூ பீப்புள் இருக்கும்போது, இல்லைன்னா ஸ்பௌசஸ்க்கு ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் இருக்கும்போது, டிப்ரெஷன் இருக்கும்போது, அந்த மாதிரி கண்டிஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து இன்டர்பர்சனல் தெரப்பின்றதை யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். இது வந்து கம்யூனிகேஷனை கொஞ்சம் நிறைய பில்டப் பண்றதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ற ஒரு தெரப்பி, இன்டர்பர்சனல் தெரப்பின்றது. and also it learns a healthy way of communication. எப்படி வந்து நம்ம எமோஷன்ஸை ஹெல்தியா நம்ம வந்துட்டு எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்ண முடியும், ரொம்ப வந்துட்டு அவுட் பர்ஸ்டா காமிக்காம ஆன் ஃபேஸ் காமிக்காம எப்படி மாடிஃபை பண்ணி வாட் யூ ஆர் ஃபீலிங் அபவுட் அதர் பர்சன், அதனால வர கான்ஃபிளிக்ஸ் என்ன அப்படின்றத ரிசால்வ் பண்றதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ற தெரப்பி வந்து இன்டர்பர்சனல் தெரப்பி. நெக்ஸ்ட் இஸ் கால்ட் DBT, that is dialectical behavioral therapy. In the dialectical behavioral therapy, how we regulate our emotions, how we regulate our behavior, அப்படின்றது தான் வந்து மேஜர் டாஸ்கே இந்த dialectical behavioral therapyல. இது வந்து chronic கண்டிஷன்ஸ்ல யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. லைக் chronic PTSD இருக்கு, chronic depression இருக்கு, இல்ல chronic suicidal thoughts இருக்கு, அந்த மாதிரி ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ்க்கு, borderline personality disorder இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம்க்கெல்லாம் வந்து DBT டெக்னிக் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. இதுல என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, they will teach new skills to the client rather than talking about the old problem, or rather than keep dwelling in the past. They'll give new memories, they'll teach new skills, they'll give a new challenges for the client, so that they will displace that what to say, the ப்ராப்ளம் எக்ஸிஸ்டிங் ஃபோக்கஸை வந்து பழைய விஷயங்கள்ல இருந்து புது விஷயங்கள்ல மாத்துறது மூலியமா they are taking away, they are bringing back the patients or the client from the problem. So they teach new skills to people, and they ask us to take responsibility on their actions. உங்களோட ஆக்ஷன்ஸுக்கு நீங்க ரெஸ்பான்சிபிள் எடுத்துக்கணும். சேலஞ்ச் பிஹேவியர், வெல்பீயிங் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ they'll give lot of new challenges, new emotions, new techniques, new social skills மூலியமா இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்றது மூலியமா they'll help clients to come out of the problem what they have. That will be considered on DBT. Next is no, Arti, I don't have any PPT for this. This is all more of theoretical things, and I don't have time to prepare PPT. Sorry, da. Next is like psychodynamic therapy. In psychodynamic therapy, it is again always psychodynamic Sigmund Freud. He always thinks that whatever behavior problem you have right now, it is all because of your childhood experiences. So we work on old patterns of childhood behavior experiences, illa childhood trauma, illa bad experiences of childhood la work out panni, will bring the change. That is what will be dealt in psychodynamic therapy. The next is called psychoanalysis. And the psychoanalysis is a very detailed way of dealing what is happening with us. It is a very intensive form of psychotherapy, and it will take a little longer time also. In psychoanalysis, they mainly concentrate on subconscious motivations and subconscious desires. Because again, if anything which comes under psychoanalysis or psychodynamic theory, everything focus on Sigmund Freud, and Sigmund Freud concept is everything is because of your childhood experiences. So we have to deal with the past experiences to make changes to the present problem, so that we may gain new modifications or new way of perception for our life into the psychoanalysis பத்தி இருக்கிற. That is the way the psychoanalysis deals with. Again, as I said, there is other therapies called supportive therapies in psychotherapy. They aim at increasing the self-esteem of the patient. They help in coping needs. They help to increase the coping skills of the client. That decreases the anxiety. Those supportive therapies are nothing but this play therapy, art therapy, different forms of therapy will come under supportive therapy. So what are the different techniques of psychotherapy in Patana? CBT, DBT, intrapersonal therapy, psychodynamic therapy, psychoanalysis, supportive therapy. Apart from that, there is additional therapies, that is play therapy and art therapy, other different forms of music therapy. Everything will come under additional therapies. This is the small introduction about psychotherapy. Right now, we are going into our book, that is the 4th chapter. In 4th chapter, we are mainly dealing with REBT, that is the earliest form of a CBT, and it was given by Albert Ellis. Whenever we talk about cognitive based behavioral therapy, 3 people will come into our mind.
What's the expansion of REBT?
Sorry, ma?
What is the expansion, full form of REBT?
What is the? I couldn't hear you, Arti.
Full form of REBT.
Rational emotive behavior therapy.
Rational.
Rational.
Okay.
Rational emotive behavior therapy.
Okay,
It
okay.
is a form of behavior therapy. Initially, REBT என்ற நேம்ல தான் காக்னிட்டிவ் பிஹேவியர் தெரப்பி வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணினாங்க. அதனுடைய டெக்னிக்ஸ் என்னென்ன, அது என்னென்ன நம்ம பார்க்க போறோம். So whenever we talk about cognitive approaches, we always talk about Albert Ellis, Albert Bandura, and Aaron Beck. But in the chapter, fourth chapter, we will be talking about Albert Ellis only. அவரோட கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் டு காக்னிட்டிவ் பிஹேவியர் தெரப்பி பத்தி தான் நாங்க பார்க்க போறோம். ஆல்பர்ட் பண்டூரா அண்ட் ஆரன் பெக் வில் பி கமிங் லேட்டர், லைக் காக்னிட்டிவ் லேர்னிங்ல அண்ட் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் அந்த டயலெக்டிக்கல் பிஹேவியர் தெரப்பி அண்ட் ஏசிடி தெரப்பிலலாம் வந்து பெக்கோட கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன்ஸ் வந்து பின்னாடி நம்ம பார்ப்போம். ஸோ திஸ் காக்னிட்டிவ் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் இனிஷியலி நம்மளோட சைக்காலஜி ஸ்கூல்ஸ் பார்த்தோம்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்கூல் இஸ் பிஹேவியர் தெரப்பி, தென் கம்ஸ் த காக்னிட்டிவ் தெரப்பி. ஸோ இப்படிதான் வந்துட்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்துட்டு ஸ்கூல்ஸ் ஆஃப் தெரப்பி ஆரம்பிச்சது. லைக் கலை கூட ஒரு கிளாஸ் எடுத்திருப்பாங்க. ஸ்கூல்ஸ் ஆஃப் தெரப்பில வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து பிஹேவியரிசம் வரும், அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து காக்னிட்டிவ் தெரப்பி வரும், அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்துட்டு ஹியூமன் வியூஸ் வரும். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி டெவலப்மெண்ட் இருக்கும்போது இந்த காக்னிட்டிவ் தெரப்பியும் got developed along with the period of Sigmund Freud. There comes அந்த ஹார்னியோட பீரியட்ல தான் இந்த தெரப்பியும் டெவலப் ஆச்சு. ஸோ இந்த காக்னிட்டிவ் ஸ்கூல் வந்து இட் ஃபார்ம்ஸ் தி செகண்ட் பார்ட் ஆஃப் சைக்கோதெரப்பி. இனிஷியலி அந்த இனிஷியல் 20th சென்ச்சுரியில வந்து பிஹேவியரிசம் ஜாஸ்தியா இருக்கும்போது இட் ஸ்டார்டட் இட்ஸ் ரூட்ஸ். Slowly it got developed. In 1950, cognitive therapy வந்து term has been coined and they started using cognitive word. Then this cognitive therapy and behavior therapy combined together and they have coined a term called cognitive behavioral therapy or cognitive therapy. In 1980s and the 1990s, it got joined together from behavior therapy and cognitive therapy and it got a term called cognitive behavior therapy. There are so many differences and similarities. இங்க இருக்கு நமக்கு different types of cognitive behavioral therapy இருக்கு. எல்லாமே psychotherapy கீழே வந்தா கூட, எல்லாமே CBT கீழே வந்தா கூட, there are so many differences among it. There are so many similarities among it. The main similarity என்னன்னா, they all use cognition. They all use a cognitive part to understand what is the problem. Just a minute. Sorry. Always there is a cognitive part involved in all forms of CBT. And the cognitive therapy gains so much of influences from different schools of psychology. There is no one particular thing. இதுல இருந்து தான் இது வந்துச்சு அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுக்கு இல்லை, நிறைய இன்ஃப்ளூயன்சஸ் இருக்கு. So what are those influences நம்ம பார்க்க போறோம். There are 20 different therapies under CBTன்னு ஒரு கிளாசிஃபிகேஷன் வச்சிருக்காங்க. அந்த CBTல தான் வந்துட்டு we are including this REBT. Initially in the REBT term kuda kadayad namakku, it is only RET, rational emotive rational behavior therapy mattum irundhathu, and then they have introduced the emotion part also inside and then it has become REBT. So enna different types of CBT ல இருக்கிற டெக்னிக்ஸ்ன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா நம்ம காக்னிட்டிவ் தெரப்பி இருக்கு, மல்டி மோடல் தெரப்பி இருக்கு, நான் சொன்ன டயலெக்டிக்கல் தெரப்பி இருக்கு, அப்புறம் அகாமடேஷன் ACT is full form is, I forgot, 1 minute.
Acceptance and commitment
Acceptance and commitment therapy. So, thank you Suganthi. Acceptance and commitment therapy and MBCT இது எல்லாமே வந்து நமக்கு CBT கீழ இருக்கிற 20 different categoriesல few categories. பிளஸ் நம்ம வந்துட்டு இதுல வந்து டீடைல்டா பார்க்க போறது வந்து acceptance and commitments, MBCT, dialectical, இது மூணும் வந்து நம்ம REBT கூட சேர்ந்து பார்க்க போற இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் டாபிக்ஸ். எவ்ரி தெரப்பி ஹேஸ் இட்ஸ் ஓன் ஹிஸ்டரி, ஆனா தேர் சிமிலாரிட்டிஸ் அண்ட் டிஃபரன்சஸ் மேக்ஸ் இட் வெரி ஸ்பெஷல்.
சாரி, REBT that's a old one, right? முன்னாடி யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க, அதுல இருந்து டிரைவ் பண்ணி கொண்டு வந்தது, அதுல இருந்து பெஸ்டா எடுத்தது தான் CBT.
எஸ்,
பட் REBT ஏன் இப்போ மறுபடியும் ஸ்ட்ரைக் ஆகுது?
ஏன்னா இந்த சாப்டர் எப்படி இது ஹிஸ்டரியில இருந்து ஆரம்பிச்சதா, CBT எங்க இருந்து ஆரம்பிச்சதுன்னு சொல்றோம் நம்ம. So first RBT மூலமா ஆரம்பிச்சது.
இல்லனா இப்போ என்னென்ன மெத்தட்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்றோம் CBTல, என்னென்ன டைப்ஸ் இருக்கு, ப்ளே தெரப்பி இருக்கு, அந்த மாதிரி தானே சொல்ல வரீங்க. அப்போ REBT ஏன் வருது மறுபடியும்?
இல்ல, நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சொன்னது ஒரு ஜெனரல் இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் ஆஃப் சைக்கோதெரப்பி. சைக்கோதெரப்பி கீழே இத்தனை டிஃபரெண்ட் தெரபிஸ் இருக்கு. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போற தெரப்பி வந்து பார்ட் 1 ஆஃப் சைக்கோதெரப்பி. அந்த பார்ட் 1 ஆஃப் சைக்கோதெரப்பி இட் டீல்ஸ் mainly about REBT. Like how initially cognitive therapy came into practice அப்படின்றத பார்க்க போறோம். ஸோ அதை பார்க்கும்போது அந்த ஹிஸ்டரி எங்க ஆரம்பிச்சதுன்னு பார்க்கும்போது REBT-ல தான் ஆரம்பிச்சது. யா
ஓகே. பட் நீங்க இப்போ மென்ஷன் பண்ணி சொன்னது பட் REBT-ல தான் மறுபடியும் மென்ஷன் பண்ணி சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா? அதனால நான் கேட்டேன்.
different type of cognitive therapy. REBT is also like one of the therapy that
Okay.
has been evolved, and now a common term has been used as CBT. And the
Okay.
CBT இதெல்லாம் இருந்துச்சு, like the evolution or the evolving எப்படி காலம் மாற மாற அது இவால்வ் ஆகி எவ்வளோ டிஃப்ரெண்ட் டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் தெரப்பிஸா அது உருவெடுத்து இப்போ எப்படி இருக்கு அப்படின்றத சொல்ற மாதிரி இந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் ஆரம்பிக்குது, இந்த சாப்டர் அப்படி சொல்றாங்க. தட் இஸ் வை we are going to talk about REBT. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Where we are. Okay. See, this current CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, right now we got 3 propositions அப்படின்னு Dobson and Dosais அப்படின்றவங்க explain பண்றாங்க. Those 3 important propositions are, the first one is mediational role of cognition. As I said, CBT nale we have a cognitive part inside. So how cognitive part deals with the internals and external surrounding of us அப்படின்றதை explain பண்றது தான் first proposition. So the mediation role of cognition will be the first proposition of our CBT. The second proposition is cognitive activity can be monitored, assessed and measured. Cognitive understand மட்டும் பண்ணிக்க முடியாதுல ப்ராப்ளத்தை, but it also can be assessed, measured and monitored அப்படின்றது second proposition. Third proposition is we always say behavior change may be an indirect change of cognitive change. When you have a behavior, some cognitive therapy has been given to you, we are changing your behavior. So the change of behavior has happened because the way you have thinking or the way you have perceived has been changed through therapy. Adanala there is a change in behavior. So the change in behavior is a sign that there is a cognition has played a part in that therapy. So that is your third proposition. The first is mediational role of cognition. Second proposition is cognitive activity can be monitored, measured, assessed. And third is the behavioral change as a result of the therapy is that the indirect sign of cognitive change happened inside you. So it is probably the positive effect of our therapy. So these are the 3 main propositions of CBT. That is the current CBT what we are using right now. No, so it is talking about those prepositions. Always they have they'll say the definition, a defining character of CBT is nothing but we'll focus one particular problem. Or CBT நம்ம ஒரு தெரப்பிக்கு போறோம்னா they'll focus what is that particular problem. இப்போ என்ன problem இருக்கு, what is the main problem right now, அதனால வர problem, அதனால இருக்கிற symptoms என்ன, அதனால வர dysfunctions என்னன்றது we will focus on that. That is the main character of a CBT. That is why a cognitive based difference has been dealt with. அதனால வர changes மூலமா நமக்கு positive benefits கிடைக்குது. So that is the defining character of CBT. We'll focus that particular problem, we'll work on that, we'll change that behavior, or we'll change that thinking pattern, or we change that emotion by giving a cognitive input. Thereby the changes will happen in a positive way. So that is the defining character. Next we are going to the similarities of cognitive based therapy. The first one of cognitive based therapy is it is time limited. We have time bound therapy sessions. Like it depends upon the severity. If it is an acute problem, the time limitations will be very less and the number of sessions will be very less. If it is a chronic problem, it goes up to 12 to 16 sessions, like, or for a period of 3 to 6 months. It all depends upon what problem we have, how long we have the problem, how adjusted we are for therapy, and how much prognosis we are showing. Everything, it all depends upon many factors, but still we say that as cognitive based therapy is a time bound therapy, time limited therapy. Generally we'll say even a chronic problem therapy will be for maximum 1 or 2 years. With that we can able to get maximum benefit from the CBT. The second thing is, as I said previously, it focuses on the specific problems or the specific disorders. The second similarities of every cognitive behavioral therapy is it focuses on what that particular problem right now, what we are going to deal with. The third thing is it emphasizes on the client as the important or an active agent of the session. So whatever the problem you are dealing with or whatever the therapy you're going to deal with, the emphasis will be given on the client, and client will be considered as the active agent during the treatment process. The fourth similarity will be the treatments are educative in nature. In all CBT, whatever treatment you're giving or whatever ideas or techniques or whatever modifications you're going to teach to the client will be educative in nature, so that he can apply the same principles or same techniques in his life for different problems also. So it is always educative in nature. These are the four similarities our books are dealing with. First is it is time limited. Second, it focuses on specific problems or disorders. Third is it emphasizes on client as the primary or an active agent during the treatment. And fourth is the treatment methods, whatever we use, are educative in nature, so the client can learn that and he or she can apply it in future also for many problems in his life. So that is the four similarities of any cognitive behavioral therapy. Next is REBT as a major concept. So now we are moving to REBT. The major contributor or the person who has coined the term REBT is Albert Ellis. Before going to any therapy, we have to know about the psychologist. As our AGP ma'am always says, based on that psychologist childhood experiences only, they develop those hypotheses or they develop their techniques. So like that, we should know about Albert Ellis, psychologist also. He is a Jewish person, and he is the eldest of three. So he got two siblings. His father is a businessman and his mother is having a bipolar affect. His father never spent quality of time with the family. He will be always concentrating on business. In the meantime, Ellis was also affected by some kidney problem. He'll be hospitalized very often. In that time only, he experienced all this, what to say, longing for love. He's not getting that proper attention from the father or the mother. He was the illness has taught him how to confront his feelings of being alone or not taken care of. So this is, yes, Suganti.
சுதர்ஷினி ஒன்றும் இல்லை, உங்களோட இந்த சாஃப்ட் காப்பி மட்டும் ஷேர் பண்ணி ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணிட்டு சொல்றீங்களா கொஞ்சம்?
Yeah, I'll do that. Once the session is over, I'll do that.
இல்ல சாஃப்ட் காப்பி இப்பவே அப்படி ஷேர் பண்ணிடுங்க.
I don't have soft copy right now.
I have sent it to you now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yes, ma.
The major contributor of REBT, the person is called Ellis. And as I said, he has been hospitalized for many times for his kidney problems. And in that time only, he realized that he is longing for love. There is no care has been given for him. So based on that only, he confronted all the feelings of his loneliness, his insecurity, his inferiority. And this was the factor which made him to, develop the techniques or the principles behind REBT. So what is the principle behind the REBT is irrational belief. Whenever a term called REBT comes, we have to get the terminology or the word as irrational belief. Only this word will be keep coming again and again in all the 11 points, what he is going to say in REBT. In 1942, he has joined as a clinical psychologist, and then in 1947, Ellis convinced Horney to work with him, and he got the degree. After that, in 1952, he started doing private practice, mainly based on Sigmund Freud's methodology, and he published. Yeah.
REBTனா என்ன? ரெண்டாவது வந்து irrational belief அப்படின்னா what that exact mean?
Irrational belief is not logical belief. It is not logical. It is not real. It is not. That is what it is. Not logical thinking. The main reason behind irrational belief is he always talks about should. Whenever a word should comes in, I should do this. I must do this. This should come whenever a sentence comes with a should, no, always it will lead to a problem. So that was the thing behind this REBT. Irrational belief. We all think that because of this only, because of this, I've come to this problem, because of my belief, because I believe in so that I'm not capable of doing it. Because of my belief, I'm not doing it.
Okay. Rational ரேஷனல்னா வந்து கரெக்டா இருக்கிறது, irrationalனா இன்கரெக்டா இருக்கிறது, ரைட்?
Correct. It is not logical, it is not practical, or it is not applicable right now. I'm thinking in a different way rather than the realistic thing. Unrealistic.
Unrealistic, exactly. Right, fine.
Okay. So, see, they have given so much about Ellis also, about his books and contributions and all. But I'm just going to say very few words among that. He has been practicing this psychoanalysis theory in 1952, and many books he have published. And because of those books, were imposing so much about sex and sexology. He's also a sexologist, so he was writing so many books about the human sex and the folklore of sex and all. Because of that, there was contradiction in that time, so he has never given a chance to work in the university he has been studying it. So he started his own private practice. Those are the contradictory things happening during his time. Then Ellis only first developed the internationally accepted approach called a cognitive behavior psychotherapy approach, and initially he called it as RET, as I have already mentioned, rational emotive therapy. Later, he recoined that term into REBT. Okay, in 1980, he coined the term as REBT. So, theoretical influences of REBT. That is about REBT. How he, that is about LS, how his childhood was influencing him to develop irrational belief. And he constantly feels that all this irrational belief only helped him to develop these theories regarding how this irrational belief modifies a personality of the person, or how this the irrational belief is modifying the behavior or the emotion or affecting the behavior of the person. That is has been given by Ellis. Now we are moving to theoretical influences of REBT. As I already said, there are many influences. Like CBT, in this REBT also, he got many influences. He talks about many psychologists in this influence period. He talks about Adler. He talks about Marcus Aurelius. He talks about Horney, Karen Horney. So those contemporary people who were on that time, they had a lot of influences on this therapy also. The main in the principle he took, or the main influences he took, is our thoughts designs our behavior. Our thoughts are responsible for our behavior. So what our thoughts, when we have unhappiness and dysfunctional thoughts or malfunctional thoughts, those thoughts are responsible for our behaviors. That is what has been taken as a principal coining term or principal idea behind this REBT. So our thoughts are responsible for our behaviors. If our thoughts are not good, if we take in irrational thoughts we have, if we keep having irrational thoughts, our behaviors will be modified. Our behaviors will not be in an accepted form. So this was also said by Marcus Aurelius on by his time. So they have their inspiration. So he took inspiration from Marcus Aurelius because their thoughts were similar. After that, he was taking inspiration from Karen Horney also. In Karen Horney's concept, he was talking about the should. Like if you should do this if you are so and so. You should finish this if you want to be like this. You should be a rich person. You should be an educative person. You should be a dignified person. If a should comes, it is like a pressure for that person. You should, if those terms comes into a person's life, this will add extra pressure to the person. So because of that pressure, they will not perform properly. By that, they will have some problems that will lead to any behavior or emotional or a personality problems. So this was the concept of Karen Horney. This concept was also similar to Ellis. So he also got inspired from Karen Horney because of the should. He was talking about concept of tyranny and the should concept. So the concept of tyranny is nothing but the cruel rules or the cruel regulations to be followed. So that should and tyranny concept of Karen Horney has inspired Ellis to come out with this REBT. So initially it was Marcus Aurelius influenced him. and next second is Karen Horney was influencing him. And like that, Adler also influenced him by having our belief. Adler believes that our behavior or our mistaken ideal. Sometimes, no, we think we will like the ideal self and the real self. We'll think about something and we'll push ourselves that you should do this to become that ideal self. You must do this to become that ideal self. So his concept was also similar to that of Ellis concept. So he inspired. He got inspiration from all these psychologists who were contemporaries of that period. So this is was the thing about the theoretical influences of REBT in this chapter. Next, he was talking about ABC system. ABC system is how this REC, as I said, REBT comes means we have to talk about irrational belief. Like that, the technique of REBT is nothing but ABC system, but there is also D and E in the system. So, what is this ABCDE? This is the therapeutic techniques involved in the REBT thing. In this is called as A for activating agent. Activating agent is nothing but the problem or the symptoms what you're facing right now, or the maladaptive behavior or your thoughts. So whatever is causing the trouble will be the problem, will be the activating agent. B is nothing but because of that activating agent, what is the problem you are facing right now? Because of that problem, you believe that there is a problem. Because of my childhood trauma, I developed this personality. You are believing that because of that childhood trauma, that belief system is stands for B. C is the consequences. Because I had a childhood trauma, my personality is so. Because of that personality, my consequences is I'm so rude. I'm an introvert. I'm very, even you can take it in a positive way. I'm an extrovert because my childhood has very good days. So the C is the consequences. Apart from that, there is another two things called D and E. That is nothing but the dispute. So the dispute is nothing but what is the dispute between the irrational belief, between the positive and the cycle. So what I'm disputing the irrational belief to enjoy the positive effects. That is what is called as dispute. Miru, wait for some time, Miru.
சுபா ஜஸ்ட் மினிட்.
Yeah.
சுகுமார் சார், அனிதா வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்களா? கொஞ்சம் அலோ பண்ணுங்க. ஆர்டி சுகுமார் சார் இல்லையா?
இல்ல சுகந்தி, அவர் வந்து கான்கால்ல இருக்காரா, ரெக்கார்டிங் மட்டும் போயிட்டு இருக்கோன்னு சொன்னாரு.
ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே.
We were talking about dispute. No, we are disputing the rational thoughts and belief. That is like it is a treatment part. So D stands for dispute. Next is E, effect. What is the effect of a revised belief? We are giving some treatment. We are revising the emotion, or we are revising the belief, or we are revising the cognitive aspect of thinking. The belief system has been changed by giving some form of CBT. Because of that, what is the end product? What is the effect of a revised belief what you are getting after treatment? That stands for E. So A is activating agent or the problem. B is the belief system, because of the problem what you are believing. And C is consequences. Because of that, what is the consequence? The neurotic symptoms or the negative emotions or the depressions or whatever you are facing right now, that will be the consequence. D is like dispute. We are disputing the rational belief and making it to a new thing, or changing the aspect of your belief system. That comes under D. And E is the effect of revised belief system. Because of therapy, because of the dispute, what we have got after a part of therapy. So we have to talk about A, B, C, D, E whenever we talk about REBT. So in this dispute, we got three different elements. This has come in an MCQ also. The three elements of dispute is detecting, debating, and discriminating. First, we have to detect what is the irrational belief we have. Like we have to detect what is our problem, what is our irrational belief, what is the belief we have believing so long, that to be detected. Next is we have to debate with that irrational belief. We have to debate and we have to make understand that is it a irrational belief, how long I'm believing that. So the therapist will help, the counseling psychologist will help to do this dispute part. And third is you have to discriminate what is rational and what is irrational. So far I'm thinking in that way. I doesn't even know it is irrational. Someone is letting me to understand your belief is irrational. Because of that only you have all these problems. When you try to change your belief, your behavior also will be changed, and the problems right now what you're experiencing will also get modified or changed. So that discrimination we have to do. So detecting, debating, and discriminating the irrational beliefs, these are the three elements of dispute. Even sometimes in the olden days when he was giving therapy, he was also shouted and he was also behaved very rudely to patients to change that irrational belief system. So that much he was very staunch in believing that all problems is because of the irrational belief you are facing or you are believing it. So this was also his goal is just to eliminate whatever irrational belief you have. That is the primary goal of Ellis, and that is what has been emphasized in REBT also. This treatment is effective, and it is like again a cognitive part is involved to change that irrational belief into a rational belief, so that you can modify whatever the consequences or whatever the neurotic symptoms you are having in that time. He was also talking about the therapy part. Also, in the therapy part, he was talking about cognitive reconstruction and thought changing process. This is nothing but all the CBT deals with cognitive reconstruction only. So, in this cognitive restructuring or reconstruction part, we have to talk about how we have to stop our irrational belief, or how we have to refute our irrational belief, or how we have to change our perception of irrational belief. So this has been highlighted in cognitive restructuring, how to refute irrational belief, how cognitive distortions can be helpful in doing that, and also how we are going to deal with irrational belief replacement. So we have to replace this irrational belief with more realistic and accurate and beneficial beliefs. So by changing that, by replacing that irrational belief only, the therapy will be, useful. At the end of the day, the therapy will be focused on constructing a good belief, constructing a new belief, constructing a useful belief by replacing that irrational belief. So this was the major technique of REBT, reconstructing the cognition. So this cognitive reconstruction also give awareness about what are the negative thoughts we are having, how to change it, how to learn to challenge that negative thoughts, and how we can change it by substituting the new thoughts or new methods of gaining something. So these are all the highlighted points will be happening in the cognitive reconstructions. So this is what the main theory of personality, ABCDE technique, and about in dispute we are talking about detecting, debating, and discriminating the in irrational belief. And after that, we also have to talk about cognitive reconstruction. In cognitive reconstruction, how we have to refute it, how we have to replace it, and how we are going to challenge and change into a new beneficial belief. These 3 points to be highlighted in this theory. Next is, as we are talking about irrational belief, often he quotes about 11 irrational belief as a main component for this REBT. So this theory of maladaptive behavior, he was talking about maladaptive behavior is because of the irrational belief. So in this theory, he was highlighting about 11 points in this maladaptive behavior. So Ellis and Harper has coined these 11 irrational belief or responsible for maladaptive behavior. And this emotional problems or the sense of self-blame or blame of others, everything, all the emotional problems or the personality problems or the behavioral problems happening at that time, it is all because of this irrational behavior, irrational belief. So this irrational belief number one is I must not fail. Sorry, that will be the second thing. First is approval from the people, or approval and love from the others. I must be loved. I must be approved by others. You should be always loved by others. It is not possible, but this is called an irrational belief. I must be loved by everyone. I must be praised by everyone. Everyone should accept me. Everyone should include me in their social group or something like that. That was the first irrational belief. Approval from others is also coming under that. So the more you expect this, if it is not going to happen, that will end up in some negative emotions or depressions or the neurotic symptoms, whatever you may develop or we may develop, because if it is not going to happen. So that is the first irrational belief, that you must be loved or approved by others. I'm just keeping it very short, highlighting only the main points of this 11 categories. It is easily understandable, so I'm just highlighting only the points. The second is I must not fail. It is very difficult. Failure is a part of our journey. Only then, no, we will also learn other different ways of how we can win also. But the second irrational belief he is talking is I must not fail. So this has been, it is not ideal. You definitely, even though how much ever you are competent, how much ever you are so capable enough, we all susceptible to failures. So that is the second irrational belief, I must not fail. The third belief is it is related to blaming others, that if something is not happening properly, we blame others for their obnoxious act, for their unfairness. So it is like, because of your stupidity only it happened, so we blame others. That is the third irrational belief. The fourth irrational belief is it is like awfulness. Awful is nothing but feeling low, terrible, or horrible. It is like that exact word is they use this awfulizing is the word they have used. So it is nothing but we see the everything as very awful, very bad, very terrible, very horrible. Because of that, we will feel this it will bother us when we see everything in a different way, like not in a positive way. Obviously it will bother us, obviously it will lead to a negative emotions or negative symptoms will develop, or negative behavior we will develop because of that. The fifth irrational belief is this emotional unhappiness stems from external pressure. So when you have an external pressure, as I said, as it was discussed by Karen Horney, the should pressure comes from outside. Whenever the pressure comes, we will have emotional unhappiness, because we cannot always, demand, we cannot always cater the pressure. Whenever a pressure comes, automatically our performance will go low only. We cannot perform in a better way. So that leads to an emotional unhappiness. That is the fifth belief. And sixth irrational belief is the catastrophic belief, that is the disastrous. This is not going to happen nicely. This is going to be terrible. This is not going to happen in a positive way. That catastrophic belief that it is not going to be positive, it will always end up like this. I definitely know this is because of that negative approach of that is called a catastrophic belief. That is the sixth irrational belief he's talking about. The seventh belief what he was talking about is postponing, procrastination. The procrastination is we will what to say, we blame others, we postpone things. These are called as procrastinations. So the procrastination or the postponing things, that will be the seventh irrational belief he is talking in this REBT thing. The eighth irrational belief is we will be always dependent on someone stronger than yourself. Because you will not take responsibility for your actions, or you will not hold the responsibility for your own behaviors. You won't find happiness in yourself. Rather, you tend to depend on other people for everything. So that is the eighth irrational belief. The ninth irrational belief is we always think that whatever happens right now, it is because of the past events. We blame, because of that only I did this, because of this only it happened now. So we will be determining our destiny. I know my destiny will be like this because this is the thing which has happened. So blaming the past, or taking the past events as responsibility for the future happenings. That is the irrational belief, ninth belief. The tenth belief is we will be upset about other problems. We forget about ourselves, but we'll think about other problems as the major thing. We will be always thinking about other problems and we'll create that extra pressure for us. That is also one kind of irrational belief he is talking. The 11th and the last belief is it is always right. There is no proper solution. There is no precise solution. There is not solution also for some problem. There won't be solution also. But you will always expect a right, proper, perfect, very what to say, a very expected solution, very precise and very perfect solution for every problem. But that is not possible. That is the 11th irrational belief he is talking about. So these are the 11 irrational belief he talks about in theory of maladaptive behavior. So every maladaptive behavior will come under the possibilities of these 11 irrational belief. That was the theory which has been given by Ellis and Harper. Also, all these 11 points insist that it is to be approved by others and perfection. He expects that perfection in everything. If that is not going to happen, then there will be a maladaptive behavior. And the
இந்த
person will
11
always,
பாயிண்ட்ஸையும் சாரி
sorry.
இந்த 11 பாயிண்ட்ஸையும் சிங்கிள் ஸ்டேட்மெண்டா 11 பாயிண்ட்ஸா சொல்லுங்க.
First one, I must be loved.
ஓகே
I should get approval from others. That also comes in first. I must be loved. I must be approved by others. Second, I must not fail.
யூ மஸ்ட் நாட் பி
I must not fail.
ஃபெயில். ஓகே ஐ மஸ்ட் நாட் ஃபெயில். ஓகே
I must not fail. Third, blaming others for obnoxious act of them, unfair act of them.
ஓகே ப்ளேம் பண்ணக்கூடாது. ஓகே
Yeah, but we blame them. That is the irrational belief. Fourth is awfulizing. AWFULUZING. We
ஓகே
perceive everything around us as awful, terrible, horrible, like that. Fourth is awfulizing the thing. Fifth is emotional unhappiness stems from external pressure.
ஓகே
Okay?
சுத்தி இருக்கறனால
Yeah,
எதுவும்
exactly.
பாதிக்கக்கூடாது.
Yeah.
ஓகே
We take that emotional and we have only little control to change your feeling. We'll always take the pressure and we feel we are unhappy. We don't want to come out of the pressure. So external pressure which causes the emotional unhappiness. Sixth is catastrophic belief. Okay.
நாளைக்கே உலகம் அழிஞ்சிரும்னு நினைக்க கூடாது. ஓகே
Seventh is postponing or procrastination. You can write as procrastination, 7th point.
ஓகே
Okay. Eighth is dependent on someone stronger than you for everything.
ஓகே
Ninth is past events are responsible for my destiny.
அப்படின்னு நினைக்க கூடாதா இல்ல நினைக்கலாம்?
நினைக்கக்கூடாது. We will think like that. It is not that. What you are doing today will be, you can change your way of action today, no? Why you have to keep believing that past event is responsible? So you are not supposed to believe that. Okay? 10th is, getting upset and worrying about other problems, like people around you.
ஓகே
Okay? 11th is always expecting a right, precise and perfect solution for a problem.
ஓகே ரைட்
Okay? These are the 11 irrational belief for maladaptive behavior.
டன். Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So until this was the thing which has been given by Ellis. After that, we are going to talk about therapeutic process, therapeutic relationship, again the role of therapist, role of counseling techniques and all. Shall I take this class tomorrow because I need to go right now and it will take more than half an hour. So